world brimming with noise, where everyone fights to be heard, there exists an extraordinary power, a power not born of domination, but of control. Not over others, but over oneself. What if I told you that mastering the art of persuasion is not about manipulation or deceit, but about embodying principles so steadfast that others naturally gravitate toward your influence? This isn't some fleeting tactic, it's a way of being. A way rooted in ancient wisdom, forged in the fires of discipline, and sharpened by the relentless pursuit of self-mastery. Today, we embark on a journey to uncover 13 psychological tricks that will help you control any person or situation. These are not mere strategies, they are the embodiment of self-control, resilience, and wisdom. By the end of this video, you won't just know how to influence, you'll feel an unshakable urge to master yourself first, because that is where true power lies. So, are you ready to unlock the secrets of control over others? Yes, but most importantly, over your own mind? Number 1. The calm within chaos. When emotions run high and chaos reigns, the most persuasive person in the room is the one who remains calm. This isn't just a platitude, it's a principle deeply rooted in Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To master persuasion, you must first master your reactions. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, thunder roaring, wind howling, rain crashing down. Now picture yourself unmoved, a rock amidst the torrent. This is the demeanor you must cultivate in moments of conflict or negotiation. When others are led astray by their emotions, your composure will radiate strength. People are instinctively drawn to those who exude control when all else is unraveling. The key is preparation. Practice regulating your emotions daily. When faced with frustration, take a deep breath. When anger rises, step back mentally and ask, will this matter tomorrow, next year? This detachment isn't apathy, it's mastery. And when you embody it, others will look to you as a pillar of reason. Their trust will follow. Number 2. The power of silence. In a world consumed by noise, silence is a weapon few know how to wield. When we remain silent in moments when others expect us to speak, we project confidence, self-restraint, and thoughtfulness. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, observed, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This timeless advice is the cornerstone of influence. Silence creates tension, and tension draws attention. Silence creates tension, and tension draws attention. Imagine someone throwing an insult your way, expecting a heated retort, but you offer nothing, only an unwavering gaze and calm demeanor. Their words lose power, leaving them uncertain and often regretful. Silence also forces others to fill the void, revealing more about themselves than they intended. In negotiation, this can be a masterstroke. But silence is not just absence, it's presence. To use it effectively, combine it with deliberate listening. Let your silence communicate strength, not indifference. When you listen with intent, you make others feel seen and valued, which makes them more inclined to align with you. Mastering silence is not merely about persuasion, it's about showing restraint and fortitude, hallmarks of a Stoic mind. Number 3. Mirror their emotions, not their weaknesses. Human beings are naturally drawn to those who reflect their feelings. This is not mimicry, it's empathy in action. When someone feels understood, they become more open to your influence. The Stoics knew this well. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality," reminding us that most people are prisoners of their emotional storms. By mirroring their emotions, we can guide them out of those storms and into calm waters. The key is subtlety. If angry, acknowledge their frustration without feeding it. Say, "I can see this situation is upsetting," rather than escalating with your own anger. If they're joyful, share in their enthusiasm, but do so genuinely. People sense authenticity, and when your response aligns with their state of mind, you establish rapport. However, avoid mirroring their weaknesses. If they are impatient, remain patient. If they are anxious, exude calm. This balance allows you to connect emotionally while maintaining the stability they unconsciously crave. By mastering this art, you become a guide, someone others instinctively trust and follow. Number 4. Control the frame of the conversation. The person who controls the frame controls the interaction. A frame is the perspective or context through which a situation is viewed. Mastering persuasion requires you to subtly shift the frame in your favor without appearing forceful. This tactic is not about dominance, but about guiding others toward clarity and reason, a deeply Stoic practice. Consider this: a heated debate arises, and the opposing party frames it as a battle to win. If you instead frame it as a collaborative search for truth, the dynamic changes entirely. The tension eases, and the other person feels less combative. This mirrors the Stoic idea expressed by Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. By reframing, you transform the situation itself. To control the frame, ask questions that direct the conversation toward your intended outcome. For example, instead of arguing over a point, you might ask, "What outcome are we both seeking here?" This disarms defensiveness and focuses attention on shared goals. Remember, controlling the frame is not about manipulation. It's about leading others to think clearly and act rationally, a hallmark of Stoic influence. Number 5. The art of strategic patience. Patience is not passive. It is a quiet force, a weapon wielded by those who understand its true power. The Stoics believed deeply in the virtue of patience. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place." To master persuasion, you must learn to flow with time rather than against it. In any interaction, those who rush to act or speak often lose their advantage. Strategic patience means knowing when to wait, when to listen, and when to act. For example, if someone hesitates during a negotiation, resist the urge to fill the silence. Instead, let them sit with their discomfort. It often leads them to make concessions. Similarly, when presenting an idea, pause after key points to allow the weight of your words to sink in. Patience also allows you to observe and understand others more deeply. When you are not in a hurry, you notice the subtle cues, body language, tone shifts, unspoken hesitations that reveal their true thoughts. With this understanding, you can respond with precision and strength, guiding the situation with confidence. In a world of haste, patience is not just a virtue, it's a power move. Number 6. Leverage the power of reciprocity. Human beings are wired for reciprocity, a deeply ingrained psychological response to kindness and generosity. The Stoics, despite their emphasis on self-reliance, understood the value of mutual aid and goodwill. Seneca once said, "No one can live happily who has regard only for themselves and turns everything to their own purposes." You must live for your neighbor if you would live for yourself. To persuade, give freely first. The key lies in offering something of value without expecting immediate return. This might be a piece of advice, a genuine compliment, or a small act of service. When you give, you subtly create a sense of obligation in others, and they feel compelled to reciprocate. This is not manipulation. It is fostering goodwill and connection. For example, in a professional setting, sharing insights or resources positions you as generous and knowledgeable. The person on the receiving end will likely feel a pull to repay the favor, often by aligning with your ideas or supporting your goals. The power of reciprocity works because it appeals to an innate human desire to maintain balance in relationships. Use this principle with sincerity and purpose, and you'll find that others naturally lean toward your influence. Number 7. Master the subtle art of questioning. Questions are among the most powerful tools of persuasion. A well-placed question does more than seek information. It guides thought, shifts perspectives, and creates clarity. The Stoics believed in the power of introspection, constantly questioning their own beliefs and motives. As Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. In the same way, questions allow us to direct others' thoughts without confrontation. When you ask questions, you lead others to their own conclusions, which are far more persuasive than imposed ideas. For instance, instead of saying, "This is the better option," ask, "What do you think would yield the best result here?" This approach fosters collaboration and removes defensiveness, making the other person more receptive to your perspective. The true art lies in asking open-ended and thought-provoking questions. Avoid leading questions that feel manipulative. Instead, frame your inquiries in a way that inspires reflection. What would you need to feel confident in this decision? Or, how does this align with your long-term goals? These questions demonstrate understanding and subtly nudge the person toward the path you've envisioned. In doing so, you wield influence with grace and respect. Number 8. The strength of unshakable principles. To persuade others, you must first persuade yourself. This is the essence of living by unshakable principles. The Stoics revered this as the highest form of strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." To be truly influential, your actions and words must align with your values. People are drawn to those who stand firm in their integrity, especially in a world rife with compromise. Consider how often we encounter individuals who say one thing and do another. Their inconsistency breeds distrust. In contrast, when you live by a clear moral code, your authenticity becomes magnetic. You don't need to impose your will. Others will naturally respect you and follow your lead because they sense your inner conviction. The power of principles lies in their stability. They act as your compass, guiding you through complex situations. When others see that you are not swayed by fear, greed, or external pressures, they will admire your fortitude. Your principles will serve as a foundation, allowing you to influence without force, persuasion born of respect, not coercion. Number 9. Project an aura of confidence. Confidence is not arrogance, nor is it loud. True confidence is quiet, grounded, and unshakable. It stems from knowing yourself, your strengths, and your values, a hallmark of Stoic wisdom. As Epictetus taught, he who is not a slave to himself is free. When you exude this freedom from internal conflict, others are naturally drawn to your presence. Confidence begins with self-control. When you master your emotions, you appear composed in any situation. This composure communicates that you are someone who can be trusted to make rational decisions. In persuasion, this is a critical asset. People are less likely to question or resist someone who radiates certainty. To project confidence, focus on your body language and tone. Stand tall, maintain steady eye contact, and speak with clarity. Avoid filler words like or maybe. But remember, confidence is not about dominating the conversation. It's about carrying yourself with quiet assurance. When you are confident, you don't need to prove yourself. Your presence speaks volumes. This silent strength persuades without effort, making you a force others naturally respect and follow. Number 10. Make the other person feel important. The most powerful form of influence often comes through recognition. People are driven by the need to feel valued, to feel that their existence matters. The Stoics understood that our relationships with others are governed by our ability to empathize and connect on a deeper level. Seneca, in his letters, wrote, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." By acknowledging others' worth, you soothe their fears and create an environment ripe for persuasion. To influence someone, start by genuinely appreciating them. Compliment their strengths or the positive qualities you see in them, but make sure it's authentic. Flattery is easily recognized and dismissed, but genuine appreciation fosters trust and admiration. When someone feels truly seen, their defenses drop, and they are far more likely to be open to your ideas. This technique is not about manipulation. It's about elevating the other person. When you make them feel important, you not only win their respect, but also gain their loyalty. People want to be heard and understood, and when you give them that, you lay the foundation for a strong influence that doesn't need to be exerted, but flows naturally. Number 11. Embrace the power of nonverbal communication. Words are potent, but actions often speak louder. The Stoic ideal of the inner citadel suggests that our true strength is reflected in our outward conduct. When we practice restraint, our very presence becomes a form of communication, subtle yet deeply persuasive. Marcus Aurelius famously stated, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." This is not just a moral directive, it's a powerful communication strategy. Nonverbal cues, your posture, gestures, and facial expressions are often more telling than anything you say. A firm handshake, a steady gaze, or an open stance communicates authority and respect. These cues establish a foundation of trust before a word is even spoken. In persuasion, this becomes invaluable. When your nonverbal signals align with your words, your message gains power. But it's not just about projecting strength. It's about creating an atmosphere of calm and control. Practice remaining composed under pressure, and others will subconsciously follow your lead. Your actions will demonstrate the same stoic calm that you aim to cultivate within yourself, drawing others toward you without force. Number 12. Use the power of strategic withdrawals. Mastering persuasion sometimes requires knowing when to pull back. This may seem counterintuitive, but the Stoics understood that exerting constant pressure weakens both the mind and the will. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And sometimes it is the act of retreating that allows us to regain our strength and maintain control. In the context of persuasion, strategic withdrawal means knowing when to leave a conversation, a situation, or a negotiation before it escalates, or when further engagement would diminish your power. By stepping away at the right moment, you leave the other person with a sense of unfinished business, which they will often want to resolve. The gap you create allows your influence to linger long after you've departed. Moreover, by withdrawing, you demonstrate that you are not desperate for approval, attention, or agreement. This strengthens your position, as people are drawn to those who seem unaffected by external pressures. They want to be around those who seem to have more control than they do. The art of strategic withdrawal ensures that you are always in control, whether present or absent. Number 13. Commit to lifelong self-improvement. The most persuasive force in the world is the continuous improvement of oneself. It is a journey of inner fortitude, grounded in the Stoic belief that we must constantly strive to align our actions with virtue. As Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." To persuade others, you must first persuade yourself to grow beyond your limitations, to master your desires, and to refine your character. Every day, in every interaction, we have the choice to either rise to the occasion or remain stagnant. The pursuit of self-improvement gives you an aura of quiet power. When you are always becoming a better version of yourself, others naturally take notice. This commitment to self-discipline and personal growth becomes your most potent form of persuasion. Your life itself is a living example of the strength, wisdom, and calm that you encourage in others. True influence comes from within. It is the result of consistent effort toward self-mastery. When you dedicate yourself to being the best you can be, you offer others the opportunity to join you in that pursuit. And in doing so, you not only control situations, you inspire transformations. Your influence becomes not just persuasive, but profound. Mastering the art of persuasion is not about tricks or manipulations. It's about mastering oneself. When you embody the principles of self-control, fortitude, and wisdom, you become a natural force of influence. Each of these 13 psychological tricks is rooted in a deep understanding of human nature, and each reflects the Stoic belief that our greatest power lies within. As you strive for self-mastery, you'll find that persuasion becomes effortless, not because you are forcing others to act, but because they are drawn to your clarity, your strength, and your unwavering sense of purpose. Now take these lessons, put them into practice, and watch as your life transforms. But remember, this is only the beginning of your journey. Master yourself, and the world will follow. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.